5 of the worst ran NBA franchises. My name is Joshua Envyerz, and up first we have the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I know what a lot of people may be thinking. How is this team a bad organization? They have studs like Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. Well, they didn't get these guys by being a good team over the past few years. They got them by being one of the worst teams in the league and trading away their top player in Kevin Love to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because whether it was injuries or something else, they just couldn't find a way to build around Kevin Love the time he was there, and never made the playoffs the time he was there as well. Speaking of playoff appearances, they haven't made a playoff appearance since 2004, which is crazy because that's over 12 years and counting. And only once in their franchise history have they made it out of the first round, and that was 2004 when they got to the Western Conference Finals, with Kevin Garnett almost entirely leading this team by himself. Because even then, the Timberwolves were unable to build around their star player. So here's hoping all the guys that run the Minnesota Timberwolves are able to build around the new guys such as Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, Zach LaVine, etc., and make them a playoff contender and even a championship contender in the future. Next up, we have the Philadelphia 76ers, and unlike the Minnesota Timberwolves, this team's history isn't as bad. I mean, they've gotten out of the first round, they've made it to the NBA Finals, and they've also won a few championships, but that's probably because this organization, this franchise, is pretty old compared to the Minnesota Timberwolves. But this franchise is mainly on this list simply for the fact of how terrible they have been in recent years. They were in trust the process mode, which meant tanking and more tanking for future draft picks that eventually ended up becoming Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, who hopefully can carry this team to be great again. Because in my opinion, the Philadelphia 76ers have not been fun to watch since Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson led this Philadelphia 76ers team to the NBA Finals 16 years ago by himself, with the exception of Dikembe Mutombo there. Philadelphia 76ers fans haven't been able to cheer proudly for their team. And with all that Sam Hinkie's done in the past few years, it makes it hard to trust the process. I mean, just look at Rookie of the Year Michael Carter-Williams, who was on that team but traded away. Another top pick in Nerlens Noel, who came back from injury and now is going to be a free agent this season. Who knows if he's re-signing with this team. And top 3 draft pick Jahlil Okafor still doesn't know how to play defense yet, but hopefully that'll come in the near future. So can Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons lead this 76ers team to be great again? Or will it take 1 or 2 more years of being a lottery team? Only time can tell while NBA fans wait with anticipation. The next worst ran NBA franchise, the Brooklyn Nets, who traded a whole lot of draft picks for older players such as Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry from the Boston Celtics. Because the GM thought that, hey, Darren Williams, Joe Johnson, and Brook Lopez, along with the old guys, this team could win a championship now. Mind you, it never did, and the best they got was to the second round. But hey, they got the Boston Celtics, the 3rd overall draft pick last season with Jaylen Brown, and they also gave the Portland Trail Blazers Damian Lillard at number 6 by trading Gerald Wallace for him. So although the Brooklyn Nets seem to suck at running their own organization, they're pretty good at helping out other franchises. I thought the move from New Jersey to Brooklyn was supposed to help them, not make them even worse than they were. Hopefully one day we'll see the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA Finals, back when the New Jersey Nets were there with Vince Carter, Richard Jefferson, Kenyon Martin, etc. But that might take a while still, considering in 2017 they do not have their own draft pick. That still belongs to the Boston Celtics. So next year they'll be able to rebuild as much as they please to do, and hopefully they don't sign anybody in a ridiculous contract like they did with Joe Johnson. Next, we have the Sacramento Kings. Similar to the Minnesota Timberwolves, this team has not made the NBA playoffs since 2006. They have gone nowhere and have been mediocre for over 10 years. The last time this team was relevant when they had the crew together of Mike Bibby, Doug Christie, Peja Stojakovic, Chris Webber, and Vlade Divac. And that was back in the controversial days of saying the NBA's rigged when they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers in the conference finals. Whether the refs were paid off or not, who knows? Nobody really will ever know. It's all just speculation. But ever since then, the Kings have found little success when it comes to making it to the playoffs and building a good team around their star. They had Kevin Martin for a little bit, but then traded him away. And now they have DeMarcus Cousins, who is arguably their best draft pick ever. Considering the past few years they've drafted a guy in Thomas Robinson who they traded away that same season, and then drafted shooting guard after shooting guard after shooting guard, and then big man after big man after big man. So this organization is, it's definitely not building properly through the draft to help DeMarcus Cousins make this team win. Nor is it doing anything good to sign free agents that will actually stay and play with the Kings. It would also be great if the Kings didn't have an owner that wanted to be the GM and have the GM and every other employee under him be a yes man.
Janitor, Stauskas?
Yes.
Waitress, Stauskas? Okay. Stauskas? 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 Stauskas?
Last but not least on this list, the Phoenix Suns. Now, this one's kind of a stretch because similar to the Philadelphia 76ers, they have just been bad as of recent years. You know, they've had a successful history. I mean, just look at Steve Nash, multiple-time MVP with the Phoenix Suns. They've been able to make it to Western Conference Finals after Western Conference Finals as well with Nash and Amari and Sean Marion. But it seems to be that it's been 6 years since they've had a direction after Steve Nash left. They were able to get Eric Bledsoe and Goran Dragic on the same team together. To my surprise, they actually did really well. They almost made it to the 8th seed, but 8th seed isn't good enough. After that success, they decided to say, hey, let's just go out and sign another point guard in Isaiah Thomas, which ended up making this team very, very top heavy at that point guard position and raised a whole lot of questions. Meanwhile, while all of this was happening, Goran Dragic didn't end up wanting to be there, so they traded him to the Heat, Isaiah Thomas to the Celtics, and ended up getting another point guard in return in Brandon Knight. Very questionable trades in my opinion, and after that, the whole team just fell apart. They fired Jeff Hornacek, the Morris twins had some beef with the organization, Archie Goodwin didn't like it there, he got waived, rumblings of TJ Warren not being happy, but through all of that hardship, the Suns were able to draft some really decent players in Devin Booker, Marquise Chris, and Dragan Bender. I personally love the draft picks they were able to draft these past 2 years, especially Tyler Ulis late in the second round. So although the Suns have been making some very questionable decisions in the past when it comes to drafting and trades, just like all 5 of these teams, with the exception of the Brooklyn Nets of course, is that they have a future if they can all put it together. So here's hoping these organizations are able to turn it around within the next couple of years and remove the stigma of being one of the worst organizations ran in the NBA. Those are my top 5 worst ran NBA franchises. Let me know in the comment section below yours. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and be sure to share it around on any social media along with leaving a like on this video because it helps this channel grow and helps the videos do well as well. If you like this video and want to see more similar content, click the videos on screen and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.